That is Coach Caitlin. Are you here? You are. Welcome. There you are.
Thank
Awesome.
you. It's good to be here today.
Thank you. So, what ends with you breaking the cycles of love and not shame? Is that
Mhm.
correct?
Breaking, yep.
With love and not shame. Thank you. So, Caitlin, Coach Caitlin stands for ending generational cycles, not through blame. What do you mean? I don't have to blame? You got something new for us. She believes breaking patterns begins with blaming yourself.
Have
I'm
to
just,
at one
she
point.
is committed to helping parents heal their own. It's very important to listen to this. She is here to show us that you can stop the cycle without something. So I'm excited to hear this part. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you so much. So, I'm here talking about inheritance and talking about cycles. And so, I just wanted to start with asking if anybody in here has ever found themselves hoping that they wouldn't become their parents one day. Anyone here listening with us today ever experienced that? Man, I know that I grew up thinking about that a lot. And I didn't have bad parents, but they were going through stuff and they said things and they did things that I didn't always love. And whether we said it out loud or we kept it to ourselves, oftentimes we have this quiet vow inside saying, I'm going to be different than them. I'm going to do better than them. I'm not going to repeat those things that were done to me. But the thing is, a lot of the stuff that we're carrying, the reactions that we have, the arguments maybe we reenact, or the situations we find ourselves in, it's not really necessarily things that we choose. They're things that we actually inherited. Stuff that was passed down, not just in things that were said, but maybe things that were never spoken, in silence, in tension. There was a lot of that in my home. And the way love was shown or sometimes withheld. Maybe some of you have started to notice the way certain words come out of your mouth and they don't quite feel like yours. The way your body tenses and it reminds you of someone else's, that even just noticing that, I want you to know that's not small. That awareness, that is the start of something really powerful because that means that you are already healing your lineage. As Kohila said at the beginning, I'm not here to blame the past. I've done it before. Spent a long time blaming things that were said to me as I was growing up on my current behaviors. But today I'm here to honor those things that have been passed down and instead offer a softer way forward. So I want to share a story. A number of years ago, I was teaching during probably the hardest school year of my life. We lost a math teacher right away. All of our classes got consolidated. My class sizes were above 40. And these students were coming to my classroom managing really big emotions, trauma, behavioral needs that were not being met. It was chaotic. It was heavy. Every day felt like too much for me. And there was this one student, Zengo, and he became someone I leaned on, not officially and not consciously. I knew better than to do that, but he was engaged. He was respectful. He was participating in the actual math. He was just one of those kids that I could count on to make the day feel like it would go a little bit smoother, make me feel like I am doing my job well. But as kids do, one day, even Zango was talking too much in class and I snapped. I can remember saying something to him like, Zango, this isn't like you. Why are you acting this way? With the tone and everything. And immediately I saw his whole energy shift, his posture, his face. He completely shut down. He wasn't being defiant. He was hurt, like hurt by me. And in that moment, I could hear my own mother's voice. What happened to my sweet Kate? Growing up, when I was emotional or having a hard time, my mom would often say things to me like, where did my good girl go? And I know she meant to call me back to myself. But in those moments, what I was internalizing was that I don't get to be messy, that I have to be okay all the time. I look back and I can see where I learned that role. My mom was in her own storm. The year before I was born, my mom had lost her sister-in-law and her father to cancer. She miscarried my twin, and in that season of just unimaginable loss, I had become the one bright spot of hope. And then I was an easy baby. I was a reliable toddler. I was the third of 4 kids, but the one that she could actually count on not to add to her storm. And without either me or my mom realizing it, being easy became part of how I showed love to my mom and part of what she relied on to get through her days. My mom didn't demand perfection from me outright. She really didn't. But she did demand it of herself. She was hard on herself when things weren't just right. She apologized for not being more, for not doing more. She wanted so badly just to get it all right, to be the best mom ever. And I watched and I learned. I learned that love and worth came when you were easy, when you were good, when you were impressive. That's the thing about our emotional inheritance. It's not just passed down in the things that are said, it's passed down in the things that are modeled and what is mirrored to us and what is unsaid but deeply felt by us. And so in that moment, when I snapped at Zango, it wasn't just about Zango. It was about the part of me that still thinks she has to hold it all together, just like my mom did. And that's what I didn't want to pass down anymore. Zango didn't need to carry my storm the way that I carried my mom's. He deserved space to be messy, to be fully himself without the fear that one day where he wanted to goof around a little bit and chat with his friends was going to completely undo the trust that was built between the two of us. So I asked him to stay after class that day, and I told him how sorry I was. I simply shared that I remembered from my own childhood what it felt like to be on the receiving end of words like that. And I said something like, Zango, the truth is you didn't deserve that. Sure, I expect the best from you because you are an amazing kid, but I don't ever expect perfection. And your behavior today will never change that. And I shouldn't have snapped. When I said that, here's the cool part. It wasn't even just for him. It was for the little girl in me who had learned that she had to be perfect to be safe. And it was for my mom, who I could finally see not as someone who demanded perfection, but as a woman who had been surviving really deep loss. And yeah, it was for Zango. Because in that moment, the cycle stopped with me. So I'd like everyone to take a moment. Can you think of a time when you snapped? And it wasn't really about the child in front of you? Can you think of whose voice you were channeling in that moment?
I'm going, yes.
Yeah, you can think of that. Yeah, I appreciate that. It happens to us all.
Because
You hear the words coming out, and they're not yours.
I told the same thing when I got pregnant. Even before that, when I was thinking, like when my dad would punish me or say something, I was like, I would never do this to my kid. And then I speak to my son sometimes, and that sounds like somebody else.
I've heard that before, and we all do it. And it's so easy to get caught up in the shame about that. Those things that we swore we would never do, we would never say. And that power is in just noticing it.
Absolutely.
Instead of getting caught in that shame and either blaming those people that taught it to us in the first place or shaming ourselves for now inheriting it, we just notice. And we notice it in when our kids don't just reflect the words back to us, they reflect our entire nervous system. They reflect our energy and our emotional inheritance. I saw it in Zango that day when he just melted. And I could feel that from when I was a kid. And so sometimes when we're overwhelmed, we do start relying on certain kids to hold it all together for us. A lot of times with the same kids who learned early how to be emotionally easy. It's that mass conditioning, told to be easy so that we can receive love and value. How to take care of other people's comfort, that becomes a responsibility for certain kids. I realized myself that day in the classroom that I was expecting Zango to be okay, not because he was misbehaving, but because I wasn't okay. I was in a storm. I felt like I wasn't doing good enough. I wasn't enough. I wasn't being enough. And the way I snapped at him, it wasn't about him. It was about my stress and my overwhelm and my longing to feel safe and secure, which I often found in being perfect, as mirrored by my mom. That's the thing about these inherited patterns. They can be sneaky. They're not always the big and obvious things that we inherit from our parents. Sometimes they're just these little small voices, the words that we reach for when we're feeling dysregulated. It's in the pressure that we place on a child, either our own or a student, just to hold it together because that's the pressure that was placed on us. And then we hear our parents in our mouth. So this is the shift that I learned, though, when I could see it clearly and not with the shame and not blaming. I could choose differently moving forward. I didn't have to blame my mom. I didn't have to blame myself. It didn't have to be about that. All I had to do and what I got to do was interrupt the pattern, change the script. So now when I feel that same tension rising, I can ask myself, am I asking this child to be regulated so that I don't have to be? I wanted to be intentional about the nervous system that I'm mirroring to my kid, to my students. And I want to know when I'm saying things, when I'm feeling dysregulated and I'm speaking to these children, is the voice that I'm using even mine? Is it what I think is true? Or is this just something that I inherited and something that I have the power to choose not to pass down to the next generation? So just want to invite everyone, to the parent or the teacher who's trying so hard to not become what they came from. I see you. I know that. And I want you to know that you do not have to become the opposite of your parents. There are so many beautiful things we have inherited from our parents as well. We just have to become the realest version of ourselves, the one who can stay present in the moment and not spiral into shame and blame, one who can apologize and repair instead of getting combative, and the one that doesn't have to shame themselves for learning. So I'll leave you with two questions. My questions today are, what would change if you trusted that your awareness is already healing your lineage? Just in knowing, being aware of what's going on, like you're getting to break generational cycles of hurt that have been passed down. And second, what if breaking the cycle isn't about blaming our parents, blaming the teacher that said that thing to us, blaming the society and the way that it's told us how to behave, but instead it's about bravery in each of those small moments. Healing doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it's a quiet choice to pause, to apologize, to speak to a child the way that you wish someone had spoken to you. So what ends with you doesn't have to end in shame. It can end in softness, in apology, and in love. Yes, absolutely. So the first question I asked was, what would change if you trusted that your awareness is already healing your lineage? Just that awareness, being aware of your behaviors, your actions, that sometimes the things that are coming out are not our own. And just being aware of that is healing that lineage.
Could you say the last part there? You went too quickly. I didn't catch all the words you told us to remember.
Of course. So healing doesn't always look loud.
Okay.
Sometimes it's the quiet choice to pause, to apologize, to speak to a child the way that you wish someone had spoken to you.
Yep.
What ends with you doesn't have to end in shame. It can end in softness, in apology, and in love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any
Thank
questions for Caitlin? Anyone have any questions? So Amy says, I think that's so powerful to speak to a child the way you wish someone had spoken to you. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's it can be so easy to fall into that sort of cycle of blaming those things that kind of hurt us, but choosing to see it as an opportunity for awareness. How did it make me feel when I heard those things? Right?
Yes.
Being able to see it mirrored and say, "Oh, I remember feeling that when I heard words similar to that." I don't I don't want to choose to put that on this child in that same way. What is the thing that I needed to hear in those moments? I think it's an amazing way to just not only, as I said, heal yourself and heal the person in front of you, but heal even the past and whatever kind of brought the person who said it thing to you that maybe hurt, brought them to the place where they're saying it because they probably heard it before themselves too.
And
So,
when you take the blame away, it
mm,
becomes such an amazing, so many lessons within that. But the blame just blinds everything.
yeah.
But when you take that away, then you just see through all of it.
Now there's opportunity.
Yes.
Blame keeps you
So
kind of,
when you asked what is it that you carried, I wanted to like come in and just say,
oh,
but
yeah,
it
tell me.
interrupt you and to interrupt you. What was mine was my biggest one was judgment, because my dad always judged and compared. Better, you're not this, you're not that, and what are you doing? Judge, you don't walk right, you don't sit right, judge, judge. So I thought, as I grew up, I always told, I'm not going to be my dad. I'm not my dad. And then I always had this. I would just judge people, and then when you judge others, from that experience I picked up judging is became my trait, but I couldn't call on it because I wasn't aware at that point.
Mm,
Then if you ever have that of judging others, guess what? Because you judge so much throughout the day, all day is spent on judging, then you judge your that judgment comes to you, back to you, and then you can't do anything. You paralyze yourself because
yeah.
you think all of the ways that others going to think about you. And with
Mm,
all these stories I create of what are they thinking, what would they think if I stood like this, what would they think if I
yeah.
moved my head like this, what if my hair was like, what would they think about my hair, all these things. But none of this is happening because everybody's busy.
Nobody cares.
The imagination that I'm such a
Yeah.
big
Oh,
fool,
yeah.
I'm being judged. So I just
Mm,
live in that cool world thinking all these judgments. So one day I was visiting Dubai, and there was a ceremony that was happening on the beach. It's like the Burning Man. They were
hmm
there, but it was a smaller event, but it was a part of another event. So
hmm
a mini version of that. So they said, we're going to give you all these supplies. You're going to build something as a team, and then you're going to write something, and we're going to burn this. Within my denial, I'm like, I got nothing to burn. I'm cool. I was judging the actual building like that wasn't, she placed it wrong. That was what I was doing. And then immediately I had this awareness, I am the judge. I constantly judge everybody on how they walk, what they wear, how they sit, what they're doing. It's like constant. Then I think they're doing it to me. So immediately that when that awareness hit, sometimes it comes through the source, either God or the universe brings you the thing that you need to really become awareness with. It came to me
mm,
on that beach, and I immediately wrote down judgment. Judgment is going today. It's going to burn. I burned it, and rituals, I don't know if anybody believes that or not. It's so important. It's such an anchoring because
mm,
that word was so strong for me. It
yeah.
was daily. Like I couldn't even stop it.
Yeah.
That's was heavy to me. So since that day, that was like about, I think, 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago, I don't have any problem with it.
Mm,
And I can catch myself immediately. Hold on a second. What are you doing right now? Who are you to talk about anything else? Just cool it. So I'm able to catch it. So we've been talking about these strings. So
mhm.
that judgment was my big thing. Where did it come from? My parenting, the mass control, obedience, success is silence. So you've been talking about some generational things. What do you want to cut, Caitlin, today?
Yeah, I think that mass control and mass conditioning were big. That sort of idea that I needed to be obedient or be acceptable, to be comfortable for everybody else. And that would be how I would be loved or valued, or there would be like worth instilled in me because I was not causing anybody else any problems. I was not being part of their storm. So those are the strings I'm wanting to cut today.
Yes, let's cut it. And
Um,
perfect. I have to be the judge of everyone. Who am I to judge? Mind your own business.
yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Anything else you want to add? Lori says perfection. perfect being perfect.
Yeah.
When you remove the blame, growth begins to
Mhm.
build. Anything else? Did you talk about already what you're giving away? Yes, we did. Yes.
I have a detailed resource for you. It's called Breaking Cycles with Love Toolkit. It's just filled with tools and tips you can start using today to create more safety, connection, ease at home. So if you send me an email, my email address should be there with the word toolkit in the subject line. I'll send it right to you. And you would also be entered to win my 5-day nervous system decoding experience. So
Beautiful.
we
Thank you.
can uncover the things that are going on underneath for you or your child or whatever. We can break these cycles together. Yeah.
Thank you. I love it. I love it. We have to break the cycle. We have to cut the thread. We have to cut the rope. Some of them are ropes that you need probably those other scissors to cut
Right.
with, the
Right.
garden scissors, because they're so big
Yeah,
that
yeah,
you can't apply the scissors. But thank you so much, and
yeah.
thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to the rest of the summit.